Title: The Bermuda Triangle, Secrets Lost at Sea for Centuries. Humanity has gazed at the oceans and skies, wondering what lies beyond the horizon. But in one part of the world, those questions take on a more haunting tone. A stretch of sea, infamous for the unexplainable, where ships vanish without a trace, and planes disappear from the sky as if they were never there. Some call it the Devil's Triangle, others simply whisper, the Bermuda Triangle. This is the story of one of the world's greatest unsolved mysteries, a place where logic seems to dissolve, where science, superstition, and speculation collide in the dark waters of the Atlantic Ocean. From ancient shipwrecks to modern aircraft gone silent, from magnetic anomalies to theories involving portals and extraterrestrials. This is not just a region of ocean. It is a portal into humanity's deepest fears and deepest curiosity. The Bermuda Triangle is not marked on any official map. It has no government designation, no defined territory, no warning signs, and yet everyone knows its name. The Triangle is a region in the western part of the North Atlantic Ocean, roughly outlined by 3 points: Miami, Florida to the west, San Juan, Puerto Rico to the south, and the island of Bermuda to the north. Together, these points form a vast triangle-shaped region covering approximately 500, 0 to 1.5 million square miles of open sea. At first glance, it seems like any other part of the Atlantic, vast, blue, and unending. But beneath the waves, something seems different. The term Bermuda Triangle was first coined in a 1964 article by journalist Vincent Gaddis, published in Argosy magazine. In it, Gaddis described a pattern of unexplained disappearances that had been occurring in that region for decades, perhaps even centuries. He wrote of planes that vanished in perfect weather, of ships found adrift with no crew, and of distress signals cut off mid-sentence. Since that time, the mystery has only deepened. Officially, the U.S. government does not recognize the Bermuda Triangle as an area of particular danger, and yet, the myths persist, fueled by dramatic disappearances, odd scientific readings, and an eerie sense that something isn't quite right here. Narrator low, steady. What makes the Bermuda Triangle more than just another stretch of ocean is what keeps vanishing within it. And not quietly. The Triangle has been the final known location of cargo ships, fighter planes, submarines, private yachts, and even entire crews that seemingly ceased to exist, without distress signals, wreckage, or survivors. These are not stories passed down through myth. These are real incidents, documented, investigated, and still unexplained. The disappearance of Flight 19, December 5, 1945 *. The legend of the Bermuda Triangle truly began with Flight 19, a U.S. Navy training mission involving 5 TBM Avenger torpedo bombers, each carrying 3 men. The flight departed from Naval Air Station Fort Lauderdale, Florida, for a routine navigation exercise. The skies were clear, the planes were fully fueled, everything was normal, until at WASN single quotes T. Radio messages from the lead pilot, Lieutenant Charles Taylor, soon turned from confident check-ins to confusion. We can't find west, everything is wrong. We can't be sure of any direction. It looks like we're entering white water, nothing looks right. As the minutes passed, their transmissions grew more erratic, and then fell silent. A massive search and rescue mission was launched within hours. But what happened next only deepened the mystery. The rescue plane itself, a PBM Mariner with 13 men aboard, also vanished. No distress signal, no wreckage, no survivors. A total of 6 aircraft and 27 men gone in a single afternoon. To this day, not a single confirmed piece of wreckage has been found. USS Cyclops, the Navy's greatest loss, not in battle. March 1918. Long before Flight 19, the U.S. Navy had already suffered one of its most confounding disappearances in the Triangle. The USS Cyclops, a 542-foot-long Navy coal ship with over 300 men aboard, vanished while sailing from Barbados to Baltimore in March of 1918. The weather was calm, the waters were routine. The last message sent from the ship was simply, "Weather fair, all well." But the Cyclops never arrived. Despite a search that spanned the entire Atlantic corridor and over a century of analysis, no trace has ever been recovered. As some speculated structural failure, others whispered of German U-boats, though no enemy vessels were in the area. Some even claimed sabotage or mutiny, but nothing ever matched the complete absence of debris. In the Navy's own words, only God and the sea know what happened to the great ship. Which craft, the boat that called for help, then vanished. December 22, 1967. It was nearly Christmas in 1967 when a man named Dan Burek, a Miami hotel owner, took his luxury cabin cruiser, Witchcraft, out for a short nighttime cruise near the Miami shoreline. With him was a Catholic priest named Father Patrick Horgan. Just 1 mile off the coast, they radioed the Coast Guard. "We've hit something. The boat isn't sinking, but we'll need a tow." The call was calm. The location was precise. The Coast Guard arrived in 19 minutes, but what they found was nothing. No boat, no wreckage, no debris, no life jackets, no bodies. Just the waves. To this day, the disappearance of the Witchcraft is one of the most baffling in Coast Guard history, as the boat was equipped with emergency flares and built with flotation foam that made it nearly unsinkable. Even if cut in half, DC-3 flight and C-16002 vanished before landing. December 28, 1948. On a quiet December evening, a commercial airliner known as DC-3 flight and C-16002 left San Juan, Puerto Rico, en route to Miami. There were 32 people aboard, passengers chatting, families tired, flight crew at ease. As the plane neared Florida, pilot Robert Lindquist radioed air traffic control, ETA for 03 a.m. All well, approaching coast. But it never arrived, and when the Coast Guard scoured the expected path, even expanding the radius for hundreds of miles, they found nothing. No oil slicks, no floating luggage, not a single trace. Other strange cases. These are just a few of the most documented cases, but the Bermuda Triangle has a catalog of strange incidents. A Cessna pilot in 2005 radioed, "I see water, no land, no horizon," then disappeared. In 1963, the Marine Sulphur Queen, a tanker carrying molten sulfur and 39 crew, sent no distress call. It simply vanished. Entire yachts, with meals still warm on the table, were found drifting, their crews missing. Some ships have been discovered drifting, with no signs of struggle. Radios intact, engines fine, but no people. These stories are not ghost tales from the past. Some occurred in the 21st century. All share a common thread: the Bermuda Triangle, a pattern, or just coincidence. Skeptics argue that the Bermuda Triangle is no more dangerous than any other heavily trafficked part of the ocean, that the number of disappearances is simply proportionate to the volume of sea and air travel. And yet, why do so many radio signals fade mid-sentence? Why do pilots lose all sense of direction? Why does the weather shift so fast? Why are there no distress calls, no debris, just empty water? Is it all coincidence? Or are we witnessing a phenomenon that science has yet to explain? Narrator. Where reason falls short, theories take over. Some try to explain the Bermuda Triangle through natural phenomena, others look to ancient legends, and still others to the skies. The truth is, despite decades of research, no single explanation can fully account for the range of strange events in this region. But the most popular theories, they are each as fascinating and as flawed as the last one. Compass confusion. Magnetic anomaly. One of the oldest and most persistent explanations for the mystery of the Bermuda Triangle is magnetic interference. Compasses, in certain parts of the world, do not always point to true north. They point to magnetic north, which constantly shifts. Now here's where it gets interesting. The Bermuda Triangle is one of the few places on Earth where true north and magnetic north align almost perfectly, creating a magnetic declination 0. In theory, this could cause navigational errors, especially in older aircraft and ships without modern GPS. But does it really explain whole fleets vanishing? Perhaps not, but it does hint at how navigation confusion could be a contributing factor in several disappearances, like Flight 19. 2 rogue waves, giants of the deep. In recent years, scientists have begun to understand a terrifying phenomenon once thought to be maritime myth. Rogue waves. These are spontaneous, towering ocean waves, sometimes reaching 100 feet tall, capable of sinking even the largest ships in seconds. And the Bermuda Triangle? It sits right at the convergence of multiple major ocean currents. The Gulf Stream, the North Atlantic Drift, equatorial current. This convergence creates chaotic wave patterns, sudden pressure changes, and violency states. In 2018, researchers at the University of Southampton simulated rogue waves in lab conditions and concluded they could explain the sudden disappearance of large vessels like the USS Cyclops or the Sulphur Queen. But again, that doesn't explain the vanishing aircraft or the lack of debris. 3. Weather whiplash, sudden storms, and waterspouts skies over the Bermuda Triangle are not always calmed out. In fact, they're notoriously unpredictable. The region is a breeding ground for supercell storms, hurricanes, and waterspouts, spinning columns of air and water that shoot from sea to sky. These phenomena can form and vanish within minutes. Imagine flying into clear skies, then, without warning, being engulfed by a rotating pillar of vapor and lightning. Some pilots report losing the horizon, entering white fog, or seeing stars during the day, followed by total system failure. Could these be moments where a plane enters a violent, short-lived storm and crashes before anyone can react? It's possible, but it still doesn't explain the precision of disappearances, or why so many distress calls cut out mid-transmission. 4. Methane hydrates. Explosive seabeds beneath the floor of the Atlantic Ocean lies something deadly and invisible. Methane hydrate deposits, frozen gas trapped in the seabed. If these deposits suddenly destabilize, huge gas bubbles can erupt to the surface. When this happens, the density of the water drops, making it unable to support a ship's weight. In other words, a vessel could sink almost instantly, leaving little to no wreckage. Scientists have tested this in controlled environments, and the results are dramatic. Entire scale ships dropped like stones into foam. But again, this theory only explains ships, not planes, and such explosions would often leave evidence: bubbles, burns, seafloor craters. Still, the methane theory remains one of the few scientific models that could explain certain sudden ship vanishings. 5. Aliens and abductions. The extraterrestrial theory, of course. Not all theories stick to the known world. Since the 1950s, UFO researchers and conspiracy theorists have pointed to the Bermuda Triangle as a hotspot for alien activity. Strange lights in the sky, electromagnetic interference, objects moving at impossible speeds. Ships and planes disappearing without a trace. Some claim the triangle is a collection zone, a place where extraterrestrials are gathering technology, studying humanity, or even abducting travelers for reasons we may never understand. In one now famous anecdote, a pilot flying through the triangle described a glowing cloud that followed us for miles, changing shape. Others report seeing flying discs or triangular crafts hovering silently above the waves. Though no verifiable evidence has ever been found, this theory taps into our deepest fears and imaginations that something out there is watching and maybe reaching any. 6. Time warps and dimensional rifts. Could the Bermuda Triangle be a gateway to another dimension? Some theorists believe the region holds a naturally occurring wormhole, time vortex, or space-time anomaly, ripping planes and ships into another realm. These theories are often based on reports of instruments spinning wildly, time dilation lost, our sudden changes in location without explanation. On pilot Bruce Gernon famously claimed that after flying through a tunnel of clouds, he arrived in Miami 30 minutes earlier than he should have, with radar unable to track his position. During the event, he described it as slipping out of time. Of course, mainstream science rejects this idea, but quantum physicists continue to study the nature of time and gravity, and some don't rule out the possibility of space-time folds. 7. Ancient civilizations. The Atlantis connection. Known of the most enduring myths is that the Bermuda Triangle sits on the ruins of Atlantis, the legendary advanced civilization described by Plato. According to legend, Atlantis possessed technologies far beyond our own, including crystal energy, anti-gravity, power, and magnetic manipulation. Could remnants of this lost city still be influencing the area? In 2001, a Canadian research team, using sonar imaging near Cuba, reported seeing what looked like submerged pyramid structures at the ocean floor, roughly within Triangle territory. Though never confirmed, the report reignited speculation that something ancient and powerful may lie below the waves. Is it possible the strange disappearances are linked to leftover technology from an ancient world? 8. The human factor. Error, panic, and mythology. Some scientists argue the Triangle's reputation is largely built on human psychology, not paranormal forces. Here's what we know. The Bermuda Triangle is one of the most heavily traveled shipping and flight lanes on Earth. It lies within the hurricane belt. Navigational instruments used to be less reliable. Many disappearances occurred before modern aviation standards. Skeptics argue that with high traffic, variable weather, and imperfect human decision-making, the number of incidents is statistically normal. What makes it feel different, they say, is how the media tells the story. Once a few events were labeled mysterious, everything else was framed through that same lens. And yet, even the skeptics admit, some of these cases still defy logic. The puzzle remains, so what is the Bermuda Triangle? A place of strange currents and sharp storms, a playground of magnetic chaos? A testing ground for ancient relics or alien plans? Perhaps it's all of these, perhaps it's none. But one thing is clear, the Bermuda Triangle remains one of the greatest enigmas on Earth. Narrator clear, confident tone. For decades, the Bermuda Triangle has captured the public imagination, but it has also drawn the attention of scientists, geologists, oceanographers, and aviation experts. While conspiracy theories often dominate the headlines, hard science has quietly been working behind the scenes, trying to separate fact from fiction. So, what do we actually know? Let's explore what modern investigation has uncovered beneath the surface. 1. The ocean floor, a hidden landscape using deep-sea sonar, satellite imaging, and submersible vehicles. Scientists have mapped large portions of the Atlantic seafloor, including much of the Bermuda Triangle. What they found is not smooth or predictable. It's a jagged, uneven terrain, filled with steep undersea cliffs, trenches, and ridges. Some drop-off points reach over 27,000 feet deep. These abyssal depths make it nearly impossible to retrieve wreckage, even if we know roughly where a vessel or aircraft went missing. Dr. Peter Ward, an oceanographer with the NOAA National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, explained, if a plane goes down in certain parts of the triangle, it could sink several miles before impact. The pressure would crush any structure before it hits bottom. Even with advanced equipment, the area is simply too vast. Recovery missions are often delayed, dangerous, and inconclusive. 2. Satellite tracking and modern aviation. One of the most important breakthroughs in recent years is the widespread use of satellite tracking systems. With GPS and real-time telemetry, modern aircraft rarely go fully off the radar, unless something unusual happens. Still, the Bermuda Triangle continues to be a statistical anomaly when it comes to lost signals. In 2017, a private plane carrying for passengers disappeared from radar just east of the Bahamas. The weather was clear. The pilot was experienced. Air traffic control received no distress signal. Only small pieces of debris were recovered days later. Investigators never determined what caused the crash, even with modern systems. Some disappearances in the triangle still leave no clear trace. 3. Electromagnetic studies. In the early 2000s, researchers from the University of Colorado conducted an electromagnetic field study across the western Atlantic. The results showed unusual fluctuations near the core of the Bermuda Triangle, including sudden magnetic shifts and electromagnetic pulses that briefly disrupted aircraft altimeters and onboard compasses. While not conclusive, this supports older pilot reports of spinning instruments and momentary loss of orientation. Dr. Elizabeth Harris, lead physicist on the study, remarked, "It's likely not supernatural, but it does suggest there's something in the triangle that interrupts navigational instruments, even just for seconds. And in aviation, seconds matter." However, the source of these anomalies remains unclear. Some believe it may be linked to tectonic activity, underwater metallic deposits, or ancient volcanic patterns beneath the seabed. 4. Atmospheric testing and microbursts. Meteorologists have also looked closely at sudden weather events within the triangle, particularly microbursts. A microburst is a violent downdraft of air, sometimes descending at over 100 miles per hour, slamming into the ocean and creating waves over 50 feet high. These phenomena are invisible to the naked eye, form quickly, and can crush small aircraft or sink vessels in seconds. Satellite weather data confirms the triangle has one of the highest concentrations of microburst events in the Atlantic Ocean. Combined with warm surface waters and fast-moving jet streams, the triangle becomes a perfect storm zone, often without warning. It may explain why so many disappearances happen in good weather, because what's happening above or below the visible layer is often more dangerous than it seems. 5 underwater discoveries, fact versus fiction. In 2001, a Canadian-Cuban research team using sonar scanning discovered what appeared to be symmetrical stone structures 2,000 feet below the sea, off the coast of Cuba. Within triangle waters, some claimed it was evidence of a lost city, others cried Atlantis. The structures resembled pyramids and stone roads, eerily symmetrical and grid-like. But despite the excitement, follow-up expeditions have been scarce. Visibility at such depths is poor, and sonar images are often inconclusive. Some experts believe the formations are natural, shaped by erosion. Others believe they merit further exploration. But funding and interest remain limited. The ocean, it seems, is not done keeping its secrets. 6. Is it actually dangerous? Reassessing the triangle in 2013, a statistical study by the World Wildlife Fund concluded that the Bermuda Triangle is not among the top 10 most dangerous shipping lanes in the world. In fact, insurance companies do not charge higher premiums for travel through the area. So what gives? Experts argue the mystery of the Bermuda Triangle is a self-sustaining myth. The more it's talked about, the more incidents are remembered and connected, whether they are related or not. Dr. Carl Krashelnicki, a scientist from Australia, once said, "The number of ships and planes that go missing in the Bermuda Triangle is the same as anywhere else in the world on a per-mile basis." Still, he couldn't explain the cases where radar failed, crews disappeared, or ships were found drifting, untouched. Skeptics can explain the majority, but not all 7. Cognitive bias and mass imagination. Psychology suggests that the Bermuda Triangle endures not just because of what happens there, but because of how we think. Humans are drawn to patterns, especially in chaos. When something unexplainable happens, our brains try to fill in the gaps, often using mystery, superstition, or storytelling. The triangle has become a canvas on which we paint our fears. Fear of the unknown, fear of being lost, fear of vanishing without a trace. And in that space between fact and myth, the Bermuda Triangle thrives. 8. The digital age. Why the mystery lives on. In the age of satellites, internet trackers, and real-time data, the Bermuda Triangle remains unresolved. Why? Because not every disappearance can be explained. Despite better technology, ships and planes still vanish, radios go silent, distress signals never arrive, families are left with no answers, and the ocean remains quiet. The Bermuda Triangle may not be cursed, haunted, or alien-infested, but it is unknown, and perhaps that's the most dangerous force of all. Narrator calm, thoughtful. We've searched the skies, we've explored the ocean floor, we've examined the instruments, the weather, the wreckage, and the lack of it. And yet, one truth remains. No one really knows what's happening inside the Bermuda Triangle. Despite the explanations, despite the science, despite the skepticism, the mystery lives on. Why? Because the triangle is more than just a place, a puzzle with missing piece. Most mysteries, time brings clarity. Evidence piles up, theories get tested. Facts replace fear. But the Bermuda Triangle refuses to cooperate. Flight 19, the USS Cyclops, the witchcraft, the DC-3 airliner. Countless others. No pattern. No consistency. No satisfactory answers. Some ships vanish without a mayday, others send messages from clear skies. Then, silence. Some planes are never found, others appear in pieces, in places they were never expected. It's as if the triangle selects its victims randomly, but always with precision. And this, perhaps, is what unnerves us most, not the number of disappearances, but the lack of logic behind them. What if the mystery is the message? What if the Bermuda Triangle is not a scientific anomaly, but a mirror reflecting our greatest uncertainties? For sailors, it's the fear of the open sea. For pilots, it's the fear of invisible forces. For scientists, it's the fear of data that doesn't add up. For families, it's the fear of losing someone and never knowing why. In that way, the triangle represents more than mystery. It represents a kind of cosmic silence, the kind we encounter when something disappears and nothing, not time, not effort, not reason, can bring it back. The human side of the unknown. It's easy to focus on the technical data, the charts, the wave models, but at the center of every Bermuda Triangle case is a person, a pilot calling home, a sailor expecting landfall, a radio operator holding the line. Each case is a story cut short. And in the absence of answers, loved ones are left with only questions. That is the human cost of the mystery. What happened? Where are they now? Could it have been prevented? Will I ever know the truth? Some mysteries frustrate. This one haunts myth, memory, and media over time. The Bermuda Triangle has become a legend, and legends are not built on data alone. They're built on storytelling, on fear, on fascination. Books, movies, documentaries, video games. The Bermuda Triangle is everywhere. Its shape has become a cultural symbol, sharp, ominous, unyielding. And as media retells its tales, the myth continues to evolve. Some portray it as a time portal, others an alien testing zone. Some say it's Earth's punishment for arrogance. Others think it's just another corner of our planet, exaggerated by misunderstanding. But the real question may not be, is the triangle real? It may be, why do we keep coming back to it? What we fear, and what we're drawn to others. Something poetic about the Bermuda Triangle. It sits between three well-traveled locations, a symbol of civilization, surrounded by chaos. Between Miami, a modern city. Bermuda, a tourist paradise, and San Juan, a cultural hub. And yet, right in the middle, a place where people vanish. The triangle forces us to confront an idea we often try to ignore, that even in our modern, data-driven, satellite-mapped world, there are still places we don't fully understand, still places where our technology fails, still moments when a signal goes quiet and is never heard from again. We fear it, we mock it, but secretly, we're drawn to it, the final coordinate. So, where does that leave us? Is the Bermuda Triangle dangerous? Maybe. Is it mysterious? Without question. Is it proof of something greater? Or something we simply haven't figured out yet? That's for each of us to decide. But here's what we know. The triangle still holds secrets. It still challenges explanations. It still makes us look up at the sky and out to the sea and wonder, what if it were me? What if I were the one who vanished? What if, even now, something waits in the water?